Welcome to the Wealth Genius Podcast, brought to you by the Expand Wealth Real Estate Fund. Expand your wealth by investing in apartment buildings. Go to expandwealthfund.com to book your info session. The Wealth Genius Podcast, strategies for multifamily real estate investing, mindset, community, success. The Wealth Genius Podcast with your host, the godfather of real estate, Alfonso Cuadra, who has expansive experience in business and massive success as a real estate investor. The Wealth Genius Podcast. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hello.
Hello, Alfonso.
So you came and spoke at our expo, and I was inspired by your story. And so that's where I want to start.
Okay.
Right? Your real estate journey. I love the idea of how you had to kind of start over, and regardless of what people were saying, you took a chance. You bought that one condo that ended up restarting your whole journey, and I was inspired by it. So let's start right there.
Sure. Yeah. No. I'll tell you all about that story. So, basically, about 10 years ago, I went through a really rough divorce. It was not pretty, and I guess when things came to a head, there's nothing much else you can do, and I had to leave, and I left with my 4.5-year-old in tow, and pretty much had to start over again. All the funds from our house that we did have were put into trust or into some kind of an account where we don't have access to it, and it was stuck there for 3 years.
Wow.
And then most of it was used up via legal fees. So it really kind of wiped both of us out, which was unfortunate. But I was determined to figure out how to rebuild my life. And at that point, I had been a real estate agent for about 10 years. I had started my career with a real estate developer, Polygon Homes in Vancouver, and I had seen a lot of people buy investment condos, move forward with things like that. My mom and dad ended up buying a few condos, so I had seen them go through that process. They had some commercial real estate in Abbotsford. And
you were living in Vancouver at the time.
Was in Vancouver. I was in Coquitlam, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Metro Vancouver. But I had been helping other clients do this. I had been helping my clients do the math and buy these investment properties and such. But I figured out, I really need to figure this out for myself so that I can do it. So that really took me to a place where I can't do anything right now. All of the money is either tied up or unfortunately being used up with horrible legal fees. And so I started educating myself, and I started attending real estate investment seminars that were available in Vancouver, knowing I really couldn't take action at that point to actually buy anything, but I just wanted the notes, I wanted the information, I wanted the know-how, I wanted the techniques, I wanted the ideas, and I wanted to be able to at least share that with my clients to move forward with helping more people in resale real estate or investment real estate just as a real estate agent.
I love that you did that, because even people that are listening to this interview, they may be in a similar spot. I've been there. I've been through a divorce, and I know how devastating it could be. Not the divorce itself, but it turns into something uglier, right? And it's a dark place. But if you stay there, nothing's going to change. And I love the fact that you took action despite all these things that were happening, because you could have just easily just sat and waited for it to be over or whatever. But you took action. You went to educate yourself on real estate. And even though you felt that you didn't have the capacity to take action at that time, you still took the actions you could. And I think that could be inspiring to a lot of people that are going through something similar.
Absolutely. And I truly do believe that when you're ready, the right thing does fall in your lap. The right opportunity does fall in your lap. And sometimes it really is providence or God or, pronoia. If you know that word, that means that you assume everything is working in your favor.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you the story of how this thing fell in my lap. So the first investment condo I ever got involved in was in Chilliwack. And I had received a call from a client of mine who said, "Hey, Kelly, there's this really great house on Princess Street in North Vancouver. Can you take a look at it for me? I think I want to book an appointment." And I said, "Sure." So I opened up my MLS Paragon Realtor system and typed in Princess, and up popped every property on a Princess Street in Metro Vancouver and Fraser Valley. And I noticed that there were a whole bunch of condos for sale in Chilliwack on the street called Princess Avenue, and they were just ridiculously cheap. Like, I could not believe how cheap they were.
Hold on right there, because most people would say too good to be true, right?
Right.
That there's something about an opportunity that is available for everyone, but I would say what prevents people from moving forward is being skeptical, right? They're like, "Oh, well, how can that be? It's too good to be true," kind of thing.
Absolutely. So, but I'm very inquisitive. I'm very curious, and I'm all about in life just remaining curious, because the answers to everything is there. Somebody knows the answer, right? And with the internet and AI, I mean, we can find the answers to so much information so quickly. So I was curious, and I noticed that these condos were 1,200 square feet. They were nice, big, gigantic, luxuriously spaced 2-bedroom condos. I knew what that could typically rent for in Chilliwack. It was very easy to look it up. And I, did the numbers with the interest rates at the time. I said, oh my goodness, like I could put down 20% and this would cash flow $700 a month. Like what's the problem? But, part of my job as a realtor, whenever I help any buyer buy anything, especially in an older building, because this building was constructed maybe 1990, is I gotta be a bit of a sleuth and get in there and find out the information. So I started calling realtors who had recently sold something in the building, and they're like, yeah, it's a pretty rough building. It's got some leakage. It's one of those leaky condos, and they're having some problems with it. So my next step was, okay, now I want to talk to someone who's in management. And so I called the president of the Strata Council, again, inquiring just what's happening. And he says, yep, it's a leaky condo. There's some debate as to whether it needs to be completely retrofitted or not. We've, repainted it and resealed it a couple times, but there just seems to be, these chronic problems. And there's a lot of elderly people in the building with limited income. And, some of them are really in denial that this needs to take place. This retrofit needs to take place because they can't afford it, right?
So there would be like a special assessment. Yeah. Everyone would have to pitch in.
Right. So they basically have to. The whole process of a rain screen retrofit is you have to tear off all the exterior of the whole building, like literally down to the inside wall, and then sometimes the inside wall has rot in it because of the moisture that's trapped between the inside wall and the outside wall. Mm-hmm. And I also knew very thoroughly how these rain screen systems work, because when I had started my career with Polygon, this was just post leaky condo catastrophe in British Columbia. And so Polygon actually sponsored a chair at UBC to develop a system, an exterior cladding system that would be sufficient for our wet West Coast climate. Mm-hmm. So I knew about the overhangs, I knew about the spacing, I knew about all of the, basically you have to have like a venting system in the walls. And so, but I'd also seen in other buildings in Vancouver who had gone through this retrofit process, how much the value of the condo increased exponentially after the project was done. So it's actually a really good investment to do and complete. We just had to get past this hurdle of all of these sweet elderly people on limited incomes who were just continually voting against it, right? So I got a few of my clients together and I alerted them to this building as well. And so a bunch of us decided we were all going to buy a condo.
This sounds to me like an Aaron Brockovich situation. You're like, get in there, you start like talking to everyone, get everybody involved. This is amazing.
Yeah, well, actually, I triage things, in such a way where I had my clients buy first. I bought, okay, you buy this one, you buy that one, and then there was none left for me, right? And also, I think there was still some doubt in my mind as to whether I could actually pull this off, right? And I think I said in the speech that I gave at the other event is basically the first $30,000 commission that hit my bank account after my divorce or after the separation, because we weren't divorced yet, it went straight to the deposit on this condo that I bought. And the way that I found this condo is I just spoke to one of the neighbors who was kind of one of the busybody ladies in the building. She knew everyone. And I said to her, hey, if you ever hear of anyone who wants to sell an O4 plan, I'd really be interested. Like, let me know. And one day she called me back and she says, yeah, my neighbor wants to sell. I'll give you his number. So I called him, and he was actually in Saskatchewan, and he had bought this condo for his daughter, but his daughter had moved back to Saskatchewan with him. So she had he was taking care of her. She was middle-aged, but had some mental health issues. So he had bought her this condo, and they just didn't need it anymore. So I took a look at it, and it was in rough shape. It was definitely cigarette, infested, old stinky carpets from 1990. All of the blinds were yellowed, but it had a nice white kitchen, and it had, gray countertop, like nothing unstylish about that. You could work with it.
Smells like money.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And it also had this dining room that was really big with a huge window. And it was right next to the kitchen that also had an eat-in kitchen. So why do you need 2 dining spaces? You really don't, right? No one needs 2 dining spaces. So anyways, I put an offer in on that one, and I got it. And I told my dad, I made an offer on this condo. And he says, I don't know. I think you might be getting in over your head, right? I don't think you're ready yet. Your things are precarious right now.
And that's really an interesting point, because you clearly want to get ahead. Your parents love you, so it's not like they're trying to discourage you.
And they believe in real estate investment because they themselves had invested in real estate.
But sometimes people don't, they fear what they don't understand or what they don't know. And if they don't know, maybe the area was not in the area that they're used to. And, your loved ones sometimes will discourage you, not because they don't want you to be successful, it's because they maybe don't understand. They haven't seen the things that you've seen. They haven't sat in those education, those rooms where there was education and the what you absorbed and all the work that you put into it.
That's very true. I mean, I have to give my dad credit. He was from Chilliwack originally. He grew up in Chilliwack.
Okay, so he knew the area.
Yeah, and they actually lived at Cultus Lake, which is around the corner. So they were actually very instrumental in making this a success. My dad helped me find the contractor. It was the guy who worked on his commercial office building that he had. And my mom was, running around getting blinds for me, looking for flooring, because I was busy being a single mom and trying to, do my real estate business as well. So because they lived around the corner pretty much, they were very instrumental in kind of all the details of getting this going for me.
So they were hesitant at first, but then when you were in, they were all in.
Yes, well, because I said, look, Dad, here's my choice. Either I do nothing and go nowhere, I make no progress, right? And I still have nothing. Or I make this leap and I do it, and there's a chance it will, there's a chance things will get better and go up, right? And at least it's cash flowing after all expenses. It's still cash flowing $700 a month, right? So the risk is not as high as we think, and I can handle the retrofit of the rain screen system, because I know how to manage. I know how to deal with strata people. I've managed multiple stratas for every condo or townhouse that I've owned. I'm always on strata council. I was strata council president a few times, right? So that I felt comfortable with, and I knew that if I could get 5 more people to vote in favor of this retrofit, that we could get this project done. So
nice. It's like Aaron Brockovich here. I love it. No, and what I love about this story is, the actions that were taken despite all the things that were happening in your life personally, right? And you took this action. So what was the result? What ended up happening?
So the result was great. So next AGM, we got out there, and I had my trusty clients who had come with me, who had also bought condos in the building. One of them was in construction management for a big hardscaping landscaping company in Vancouver, so doing all the big high-rise projects. And he had a very strong understanding of construction law. So he was amazing in terms of dealing with the contractor once we got this, all voted in favor of. And the other guy had a finance background and was, a complete spreadsheet guru. So he was very good with all the accounting and keeping tabs on all of the billing from the construction company, and basically us going to the strata and convincing all these lovely older people that pass the torch to us. We're competent. You know, this is what will happen in terms of the real estate values. Your condo value will double, even though like it will go up $150,000, even though the retrofit's only going to cost everyone about $60,000. So there's profit to be made. And then we had the construction management guy, and we had the spreadsheet, accounting guy. And so I think they were relieved. They were like, finally, we don't have to deal with the stress of dealing with this building, and we can see that it will be profitable. And then we also arranged for private financing through, a private company private lending company that does these kinds of retrofits for buildings. And I think the interest rate was 7%. So, everyone kind of did the math. The math was mathing, and and they could see the vision, and they could see that it would work. And so we went forward with the whole project. We managed that thing so well, and we caught all kinds of double billing, over billing. This other guy, Calvin, he caught all of the these stairs are not to code. Jack them up, pour them again. Jack them up, pour them again. I think they redid the front stairs 3 times because Calvin wouldn't let them get away with it, right?
Yeah.
So, in the end, the property, the appraisal doubled. And so I was able to refinance and pull out a chunk of money and pay off my, the loan that I had gotten as well for the retrofit costs. And I had already renovated the inside of the unit. It looked beautiful. New paint, new flooring, new tile, just on top of the old tile, right? We just did the vinyl planking tile on top of old tile, new fixtures, new appliances. I put in a wall where the dining room was, so I could turn that into a 3rd bedroom, and I could rent it for $300 more per month than I would have had I kept it only a 2-bedroom. And that was rented. It was making money through this whole process of the retrofit going on. And in the end, I basically doubled the value of everyone's condo. We all refinanced. We pulled out money, and then I used that money to go and invest in a triplex elsewhere. And I've, pulled out money a second time, pulled out money, invested elsewhere. So it's basically been my money cash cow, and it really got me started in investing in real estate.
Wow, good for you. If you could take one lesson out of that whole experience to share with our audience, maybe someone is stuck, maybe it's not like a divorce, maybe they have an illness, or maybe they got caught with the high interest rates, and whatever it is, whatever they have to overcome, and all of that you went through. What is one lesson that we can pull from that?
There's always a solution, and the information is out there. Like we no longer live in a society where if you need information, you have to go to the library or you have to go sit down and have coffee with someone who knows. I mean, that's good too. It's good to sit down and have coffee with Alfonso and learn from you and, gain your wisdom. We don't even have to go to university anymore to get this information. Like literally, the information is right in front of us.
Right at our fingertips.
It's free.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's $20 to attend, or like $80. Like it's not going to break the bank, right? So be curious. Get out there. There are solutions. There's probably 10 solutions to your problems right now, right? Like when I look at how much money you can make online just with like AI, like how AI can build an entire business for you online, and you can start cash flowing within, a couple days if you set it up.
You really
right.
want it.
If you want it, right? Like they always say, disappear for 30 days and, set up a new business and then come back, right?
Yeah.
There's always a solution. And also too, if you're, for example, if you are stuck with high interest rates and, your house payments are just like too much right now and it's breaking you, you're not married to your house. Right? Like your house is not your identity.
Sometimes people are emotionally attached to it.
Absolutely. I remember that. I remember, a huge part of the heartbreak of my marriage is I was losing my home. I told my parents I feel homeless, like even though I'm not. Like I had a place to live that was very nice after I separated. It wasn't my home. Like I spent 5 years like making everything just so, right? And, I'd raised my little boy there like from a baby, and it's like but it's so important not to get overly connected to stuff or overly connected to your home. I see it all the time as a resale real estate agent. I'm helping a lot of downsizers downsize from their big 4,000 square foot house that they've lived in for, 40 years. And I understand there's emotion and there's memory and there's all these, there's these emotional ties of what the house represents. So you find identity in your house. Yeah. And they have so much trouble letting go. So I think if you are in a tough bind and things are just a little rough, and you might need to sell your house, or you might need to start over because of divorce or bankruptcy or job loss or anything, I say embrace it. Like there's good things around the corner, and you're going to be able, it's almost like a refiner's fire. Like you have to kind of cleanse out the old stuff to actually move forward with the new.
And what I love is that, obviously you're a realtor.
Yes.
In BC, and you're helping a lot of people, and you're definitely the person that you want to go to. I mean, you've gone through all the ups and downs and everything that's going on in the market, and so, let's talk about BC specifically. Just quickly give us the synopsis of what's going on in BC. How do you help your clients?
Right. So I think one of the things that sets me apart is, a lot of realtors go, I am a this specialist. I do this city. This micro neighborhood, like say I live in the Port Moody Coquitlam area, which is called the Tri-Cities, because there's also Port Coquitlam. So I could say I'm a Port Moody specialist, or I'm a Tri-City specialist. But the thing is, if you're only a Tri-City specialist, you can't advise someone on how to move from North Vancouver to the Tri-Cities, or how to move from the Tri-Cities to Chilliwack or Abbotsford, right? I think it's really important that a real estate agent has a strong sense of everything that's happening all across the province, so that you can make a strategic move. Yeah. Because that's where the meat is in terms of making money in real estate. Is you need to know, like, okay, I can sell high if I sell this product or this home, and I can buy low if I buy this product or this home. And so the interesting thing about the statistics right now in all of British Columbia, which it's varied all across the city, all across the province, is the generalized stats are very boring. They're very boring. Like, for example, Greater Vancouver, detached house values, same as last year. Townhouses, about same as last year. Condos, about same as last year, like within 1 or 2%. All the values are the same as they were a year ago. But what has changed is if you break it down city by city by city and housing type, whether it's detached house, townhouse, apartment, there's complete variance across the board. So, for example, I made a list here of the areas in Vancouver that are the most on sale, best deals on sale right now in Metro Vancouver would be Port Moody detached homes, Coquitlam detached homes, Sunshine Coast detached homes, Maple Ridge townhouses, Pitt Meadows
Sunshine
townhouses.
Coast, is that on the island?
It feels like it's on the island, but it's not. It's basically you take a ferry from West Vancouver, and then you pop over. It's still on the mainland of British Columbia, but you have to cross the ocean to get over to it because there's a huge fjord.
Cross the ocean?
Well, you do, because there's like a huge inlet.
I get it. Yes,
so you have to take a ferry across the inlet to the Sunshine Coast. So, so Sunshine Coast. Maple Ridge townhouses, Pitt Meadows townhouses, Port Coquitlam townhouses, Port Moody townhouses, Tawasin townhomes, all of those have gone down anywhere between 6 and 10, 11% over the last year.
Down in price.
So even though Metro Vancouver is reporting everything's the same, there's areas that are like literally 10% on sale, like 10% off right now, or 12% off. Like the biggest deals right now are Maple Ridge townhomes and Sunshine Coast apartments. So I think the Sunshine Coast apartment, I think that has to maybe do with the Airbnb rules. Yeah. Because a lot of people had Airbnbs set up there, and then now they can't do it.
So now
it's crashing. Yeah. The condo market there is crashing.
And what we're suggesting is that's good news
that's
for
good
the
news
investor.
For the investor, if you are either buying your first home, or you want to upgrade to one, say you want to upgrade to a house in Port Moody. A house that was $2.3 million a couple years ago is 1.9. Yeah. That's a good deal.
Cheap.
Yeah, that's a good deal, right? Cheap, yes.
So,
but then there's other markets if you're downsizing. that are very strong right now, or if you want to sell, divest and then maybe invest in multifamily real estate instead, right, Alfonso? Squamish detached houses, Whistler detached houses, and West Vancouver detached houses, Burnaby North detached houses. They're all really strong markets right now. So if you're like, I don't know if I want to be here anymore, great time to sell, cash out, and then go buy one of these properties that's in an area that's more on sale.
When I immigrated to Canada, I came as a refugee, but we did have a choice. They said, where do you want to go in Canada, And my mom chose Vancouver. So I landed in Vancouver. I lived in Vancouver. I'm connected to Vancouver. I lived on Broadway in Fraser. And, going back and I asked my mom, why did you choose Vancouver? It's very simple. She looked at the warmest place in Canada. That's where we're going.
That's right.
It's basically just by the weather. And so Vancouver, I think the weather will always attract people, and Vancouver will always be on the upswing. Kelly, thank you so much. Before we wrap things up here, share with us kind of like a quote that you live by. And by the way, all your information is going to be in the show notes, so they'll be able to connect with you. If you're buying real estate in BC, talk with Kelly. But what's a quote? What's a mantra? What's something that you live by?
I think just that, everything is working in your favor, and you're not behind, you're not late. Each of us have a purpose in life, and there's a journey that we have to go through, and sometimes the journey can be painful, and it might be a painful couple years, it might be a painful month, or just a painful week, but there's something that has to be learned through that pain. Like there's something you're meant to learn and glean, and that's going to take you to the next level.
Yeah.
So lean into the pain.
Well,
lean into the purification.
When you say that to someone that is living in that pain, it's hard to understand why while you're in it. But this too shall pass, right?
Yes.
And I love that, Kelly. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And that's the show. Alfonso loves you, and we'll see you all at the top. Woo!